You're tuned into the Advocide Health Podcast. We're here to talk about rare diseases, real people, and the ripple effects of change. Stories that move you, guests who challenge the norm, and vibes that keep it real. Hello everyone, welcome to the Advocide Health Podcast. My name is Omar and I am one of the co-founders of ASH and one of its former presidents. And joining me is my co-host Ali. Ali, you want to give our viewers a little intro as well?
Hey everyone, like Omar said, my name is Ali. I'm one of the other co-founders of ASH, and I also used to be the marketing exec. That means basically I would run the marketing department of the club, whether that came to socials, online, or any of the stuff that actually reached you guys, basically.
Yeah, awesome. So for our first official podcast episode, Ali and I are looking to take a quick dive into the story behind ASH, from its inception, vision, and some of the achievements that we've had so far. And we really wanted to get the ball rolling for the series by talking briefly about what we've taken away from the club so far, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of what's going on in the rare disease space as well. So I think a good place to start is really just talking about the beginning. So Ali, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So give a bit of history on the club. I think we were in our second year,
Yeah, second year.
When we came up with the idea that we wanted to be part of something different. And we looked at all the clubs that were in our undergrad. I don't know if we should mention where we did our undergrad. I don't know if we're going to get blacklisted for saying that we chose not to do any of their clubs. But let's just keep it hidden for now.
Sure.
So basically, we looked at the clubs that were available. We looked at the stuff that was being done by other students. And we kind of felt like there was nothing like too much of substance, or that a lot of the big clubs were doing things that are already talked about so much by other organizations. So we wanted something more niche, I guess. So we decided, let's try to make a club where we advocate for people that maybe aren't heard of as much. So we kind of settled on rare diseases. And I'll be honest, when we started this thing, I don't think we knew what we were doing. But it was interesting where we tried to come up with a name at first. I don't remember how we came up with Advocide Health. Omar, do you have any ideas?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think when we were all sitting around together, we were looking at the different ways of saying advocacy, and we were also science students, so advo sci came together, and then health was just like, okay, we're all looking to have a career in healthcare one day, so kind of combined it into that. So
Yeah, I think that's how it happened. Then we split the club into different departments and assigned each person a department. So I took the marketing side of it. Omar, he took outreach, but we also needed someone who was more smart and organized to be president. So we kind of forced it on Omar as well. And then we had two other members who took the events department, and I think it was admin department, who was just working on internal club stuff. And from there, we started out on making Instagram posts, making our account, trying to figure out what our first disease would be that we would try to discuss or try to bring into the light that people may not have heard of. And the first initiative we chose was actually called cystinosis. I don't actually remember how we decided on that. Was that your idea, to do cystinosis?
Honestly, in the beginning, I think we were all so fresh and new into making a club, so we didn't have a set plan. I think we were kind of going with the flow. I'd like to say as well that even in the beginning, when we were talking about doing a club that focuses on advocacy, we didn't really know what advocacy was. At least for myself, I've heard it in courses and people talk about it, but what it actually means, no one really knew. So we kind of just sat together, and since we focused on rare diseases, we're okay, let's just look at a list and do some research. I think all of us did find cystinosis on our document. We had a shared document where we were kind of filtering out, and cystinosis was one of the key ones that popped up when we searched it up. So we kind of went with that. And I think a lot of what cystinosis was about was something that we came across in our courses too. I remember we all took the same first year biology course, and I remember our professor very briefly mentioning something about cystinosis. So that might have been where we brought it from.
Let's try to give maybe a description of what cystinosis is, because I know at the time when we did it, I didn't know anything about it, nor had I heard it. And even now I'm forgetting a bit to some extent on what the disease actually does. So I think, Omar, do you want to go ahead or should I maybe explain it?
Yeah, cystinosis is basically a genetic condition in where there's this amino acid, I think it's called cysteine. It builds up within your cells. So too much of it can really just damage your cells, and there's a lot of crystals that can form in your organs and your tissues. And for some people, it affects even their kidneys and eyes. So it's a rare disease that's, I think it's inherited because it is a genetic disorder, but it shows up in different parts of the body. So it's really very visible, and it's hard for people to live with it too.
Yeah. So once we kind of had this kind of figured out, so we started out by just posting about what cystinosis is, the causes and diagnosis processes, treatments, etc. That all kind of Omar mentioned. Treatment, the basic fact was there is no current, or there was no current treatment on it. Still isn't much. It's more just therapeutic options that are being done to maybe help people sustain their new life after the disease,
Hmm.
which I mean is not a great prognosis for anyone who then gets diagnosed or has that genetic mutation. After that, we kind of moved on to looking at what more could we do aside from just, making blank posts on Instagram. So we thought, what's a way we could reach out to people who have cystinosis? So we tried to do a couple of question answer posts or something with survivors or people who are diagnosed. Um, Omar, you want to talk about some of the ones that we did? Do you remember? We had two,
Yeah,
right?
I think there were two like specific students. I don't want to say their names just so we don't have to dox them again, but they're on our Instagram. You can go at Adversary Health and see their Q&As posted. But I
I'll look at
remember
it.
those were the two like first people that actually contacted us and like were actually interested. They actually found Adversary Health on our Instagram, which was really cool because we didn't really know how to market anything as well. So that was really interesting. I was really happy that they actually were comfortable answering questions from us, and we got to really look at the realistic side of how they live with cystinosis. And just moving forward, I think in order to increase our presence, we wanted to really collaborate with some organization or NGO. And for me, this was a huge step because one, like, yeah, I was the president, and we all were kind of new, and we were kind of scared if about like how the rare disease community would take us on, like, would they even feel comfortable trusting students who are just kind of going with the flow and getting used to things? So when we met with the Cystinosis Research Network, first of all, the call was really cool because they actually like were open to a call, which was amazing for me. And the fact that they were cool with doing a case competition, which was something that they never really did within their own organization and with students, that was amazing. So I really like the fact that these communities were so welcoming to students like us who are also learning. So in combination with the survivors who wanted to do Q&As, it was just really really nice to see that they were welcoming us with open arms, and just taking on the challenge of really trying to educate the student communities and stuff.
And we got damn lucky too. Like, can you imagine a couple of students in a second year of or undergrad, I think it was, or
Mm,
finishing second year of undergrad? It was COVID times. We had absolutely no like research experience in anything noteworthy,
mm-hmm,
right? Because we none of us could get anything in terms of volunteer research, lab work because of this pandemic. Everything was shut down. So this is something we started from the ground by ourselves and trying to. We were lucky enough that we got random like survivors seeing our page and then actually reaching out to us, or us willing to take the time to like answer our questions versus an organization who was like, okay, we'll actually collaborate with you guys. And that was really really nice of them. So in doing that, we then decided, okay, let's, what's a good way to kind of keep the spread of information, keep getting people involved in learning about cystinosis. So we tried to do a case competition. It was rather simple. Like, we gave them time, gave volunteers, anyone online who signed up through our Instagram, time to submit a poster about things that they knew about cystinosis, about diagnoses or the treatment process, etc., or symptoms, in some sort of graphic, whether that be like a poster or any other way that they could think of. And then luckily we were able to get people from the Cystinosis Research Network to I think they were judges, right? We got 3 judges from them.
Yeah, they were judges. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then they actually judged all the different entries. I think we had like 10 different entries or something. And
Mm-hmm.
we, well, it was actually their idea. I think that they allowed us to make certificates with their organization logo and then signed by the judges. And that was something great for like, I mean, it's great for anybody in who's currently studying, and like as an achievement, it's great for advocacy in general. But like, even I think we had high school kids join that
Yeah,
case
yeah.
competition. And can you imagine being a high school kid, you're getting a certificate from, maybe a random club, but with a known organization tied to it, the saying that you've done something to help the world of science. Like, if not just for like, career wise or anything, but it's like fulfilling because you're actually doing something.
Yeah.
And so that's something I never thought that we would get so early on in our, like, I don't know, call it career initiative. And that was something that we were really, really lucky to do.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. We owe a debt of gratitude to the CRN for trusting us with the first collaboration we ever did. And really, they're the ones who kickstarted our collaborations and networking across the board. And then I think we jumped into the GBS initiative. So, GBS basically, if I recall correctly, it's a syndrome and we're like a condition. I think it's the body's immune system starts attacking the nerves, and then the myelin sheath and all those things get, damaged and stuff like that. So it was very, hard for people to live with that, especially during COVID. The crazy thing is, yeah, this club was going during the pandemic, so it has seen the pandemic and it has seen the effects of the rare disease community being impacted by all those conditions. So I believe it was the GBS survivors who were really impacted by the COVID-19 vaccines. And I remember when we did a specific Q&As or interviews with them. I think we also did a podcast initiative at some point. There was this one guy who he was a biker, and he was going across the world basically looking for support for his GBS. And that's where it really hit me that it's not just the COVID-19 restrictions that are impacting them, but also the hesitancy for healthcare providers to actually connect with people living with rare disease conditions and actually understanding their story. So that was a really eye-opening experience for both of us. I think we were both in that call. And
I was not.
were you not? Okay.
That was
It's
you.
been so long, so I don't really remember who was in the call. I think we've done like 10, 15 of these. I think it might
Yeah,
have
I think
been
that might
someone
be the
else.
only call that I wasn't in with you.
Oh,
Maybe.
actually? Okay.
Maybe.
I really messed up by trying to pick
I
you out.
think. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but like it's close.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So then, but anyways, I think everyone got to see it once we posted it, and he answered some questions. But, yeah, that was really interesting to see how the access of care was, kind of hard, and there were a lot of limitations for people like that. This was also the time where we started doing things a little differently. We started introducing blog posts, not just on GBS, but like anything that our club members wanted to engage with, just to improve their writing and reflection skills, stuff like that. Just increase engagement across the board. And just like the CRN, we collabed with the GBS Foundation of Canada. That one was, I think, an even bigger collaboration because one, this was the only foundation at the time that was quite credible and relevant for the GBS survivors. They have done tons of things, and I think they actually posted on one of their pages our actual case competition that they did. This
I
was,
think it's there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think like for this one, what was really new to me was building case scenarios according to their terminology. I remember I had a lot of back and forth with them. I would like write down the case scenarios and show it to you guys, and then they would educate us on what's the actual right words to use for describing GBS survivors and talking about the condition and how people are affected, and just building something for students to engage with. So that was something new for us too.
Just to clarify, if people who are listening don't know, GBS stands for Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a nice thing to say.
Yeah,
But
no, that's true.
so
That's
we
true.
had a lot of interviews for this initiative, which I was surprised about, and like obviously, pleasantly surprised about. And a lot of them are still on, I think, our platforms. Like I think when you go try to listen to this podcast on Spotify and Apple
Mhm.
Podcasts, or even on YouTube, we have a channel. A lot of those interviews should be on there, including the one Omar talked about. So you're welcome to watch them there. Some of them also have videos, so you'd get to see maybe me, maybe Omar, maybe the interviewees that we had, or some of the other members who were in our club and did the interview with us. Another thing I remember was, I don't remember which interview you're talking about. I remember this one interview we did with a girl who was surviving GBS, and she told us how, like, I think she was in her mid 20s when one day she just woke up and she was not able to move
Yeah, I
because
remember
of the
that.
condition. And
Yeah.
can you imagine being like your mid 20s and you having to like relearn how to walk? Like, I can't, like, it's such a simple thing that you take it for
Mm.
credit every single day. But uh, comparing it to at such a late age in your life, having to relearn how to walk, it's going to be so hard because the movements of everything are so different than obviously when you were a child. Your whole physiology is almost different from back then. Your like weight distribution, everything is so insane. And then thankfully now, I believe at the time of our interview, actually, which was I think 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2022, so maybe 3 years ago actually. Um, she had, successfully relearned how to walk, and she was running, and I think she even did maybe a marathon or something. I don't remember exactly. But
Hmm.
aside from that, GBS Foundation was huge for us because they actually, while we were doing another case comp, they offered to give our top three winners free hoodies from
Yeah.
the foundation, which I was very surprised about. I was like, we are basically a no-name club. We have one collab from before. We've been in this, like, we've been created less than a year ago. I think we started it in what, June, July
Yeah.
of the year before or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Summer.
so it's been less than a year, and they're willing to, help us out like that to try to gain more entries or kind of get more people involved and bring them into the world of advocacy and understand what GBS is. So that was huge from the club, and like I think at least early on, those both Cystinosis Research Network and the GBS Foundation in Canada, that was two biggest like wins we could have asked for coming out so early with the club, which kind of made it interesting of like, okay, how do we move forward from this? Like, what do we do next, right? And I think our next initiative, what was that? Pan?
I think it was PANS, and then there was also Rett syndrome. They were quite close together when we were doing that.
Yeah, PANS, which I believe stands for Pediatric Acute Onset Neuropsychiatric Syndrome.
Yeah.
Don't try to say that 5 times fast. Uh, Basically, it's a clinical diagnosis given to children who have dramatic onset of neuropsychiatric symptoms such as like OCD. So it can, children could become moody, anxious, inattentive. It's not the easiest thing for a child to deal with. It's also not the easiest thing for a parent to deal with. Like, raising kids on its own is hard enough, and when you have such a rapid onset of symptoms that you have no idea what's going on, that's like a hard situation for any parent to kind of go through. Did we
Mm.
have any interviews or anything for this?
I
Or
think I think for both PANS and Rett syndrome, we kind of just stuck with knowledge translation, like informational stuff on Instagram, and just kept posting things.
hmm, I think
Yeah.
obviously we tried. We always try to get whatever initiative or disease we're looking at. We've always tried to get survivors or family members of people who
Hmm.
had the condition to kind of talk with us. Um, because I mean that's the best way to get an understanding of what the condition actually does to a person's life. It's easy to just say that okay, cystinosis causes this, or GBS can make you lose the ability to walk, but hearing a person's story of how they regained that ability, or how they fought it, or how you know they realized that they didn't know they were diagnosed with cystinosis because no one really knew what cystinosis was. These type of things is you don't really understand it until you hear someone with it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think one specific thing, now that you mentioned it, that we didn't really do interviews. I recall when we were doing specifically PANS, because it's a pediatric rare disease condition. It's mainly the parents that we were trying to contact, not obviously not the kids. So I think this was also a learning experience for us to understand when to give space and give people like the right to actually come on stage. Because I remember that when we were doing our outreach stuff, a lot of parents were actually posting their child's like progress over time, and there were situations where we felt like not reaching out because we got like an update on their Facebook or something that, you know, things have gotten worse, or, you know, it's just not the right time. It felt like it wasn't the right time to really just send the message and be like, you know what, we want to do an interview with you to learn your story. So for anyone out there who's really doing any initiatives and wants to contact people or get people on, be sure to also, you know, kind of have that self-awareness and do your full research, do your due diligence on those people before you actually contact them, just so, you know, out of respect for their condition and, you know, their experience, you give them the space that they need. So that was something new for us too.
Yeah, I think definitely that was. And then we also really, in the starting, I don't think we realized as much in the starting, but because we got lucky with a lot of people replying to us. But after a couple of initiatives, we really realized that when you're reaching out to people, you have to be like obviously conscious and conscientious of their situation, but you also have to be available in the sense that like you can't message someone and then just, you know, not check back. Or at the very least, like just leave it there. If you're trying to, you know, contact organizations, survivors, parents of survivors, family members, etc., like one, be available if you're going to get a message back. Don't end up messaging someone and then a day later you get a message back, but you haven't checked the like email in a week, and now that person's gone. I think we struggled with that first, because at the end of the day, we were also all students, and I think a lot of us who are running the club now still are. So it was like it's so easy to get distracted. I mean, I am definitely a prime example of this. I think back when I was trying to help with the outreach stuff, there were times where like, okay, we emailed people on a list, because we used to have like an Excel sheet where we had like a Google sheet that we'd have kind of listing a bunch of people or organizations that we wanted to reach out to. One person was in charge of like trying to find people, another one was trying to like reach out to them, and then someone else is supposed to like be checking the emails, and then somewhere or the other people had an assignment or a test or something, and it kind of fell through, which was unfortunate, but it's like it's also a learning curve. It's something that we, you know, kind of figured out as we were going along. Even with like Rett syndrome, I don't remember if we were trying at the time to get like interviews or get people, but I think it was also, when was this? This was like Feb or March, something like that. So I think it was closer to maybe midterms or exams, and we thought, okay, maybe for everyone, if they're busy, it might be a good time to just focus on posts, and then we can start a new initiative later. And then next we had PDCD, which was huge for us. PDCD. They contacted us, right?
Yeah. I remember for PDCD, and for those studying for the MCAT, close your ears. This is going to be terminology that you're probably going to remember. I remember when we talked about it, we're like, oh my God, this is something I'm literally studying right now. I believe it's pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. What's the last word?
Deficiency.
Deficiency. There we go. So that was so cool because they actually DM'd us on Instagram. I think they were inspired by the stuff we did for GBS and PANS, and they really liked the graphics we did for those two that we posted on Instagram. So they're like, you know what, can you make something for us, or can we do something? I was like, oh, forget making something, we'll do a whole initiative on it. So that was really cool. And obviously we collabed with the Hope for PDCD. That was the organization. We went on an Instagram live with the director for that, and did some podcasts. And then there was that one podcast where we had tech issues, but we ended up doing it, and we really wanted to do it because I believe we had guests from Stanford University. They wanted to talk about medical genetics with us. And the reason I remember this is because I remember you and I in that call, and they were talking such high level stuff. I had no idea what they were talking.
We were just standing there. We're like, when should we speak? Should we speak? Should we say something? Or should we just stay quiet? Like, what do we do? And the thing was like, we're sitting there. We're like, for the other podcast, I think the Stanford one was where we're like, we couldn't get the Instagram live to work, right?
Yeah.
And the thing was like, okay, we're trying so hard because the beauty of an Instagram live is it's gonna get recorded and posted as a reel instantly right after or something, right? So you don't
Yeah,
really have to
yeah.
worry about it, and it gets saved, and it's, instant like recognition or instant notification to everyone who's following our Instagram. So we're like, please, please, please. We're trying to teach the professors how to do it. And we're like, you can do it this way. And then they're like, it's not working. We're like, you can't use your computer. Just, use your phone. And I think we really, really wanted that live because it would have been a great way for anyone who was following our page or following the podcast or like the interview series that we were doing
Mm.
to interact and ask their own questions or anything like that. We ended up doing, I think it was a Zoom call, and because it's a Zoom call and so many people, it was like an open invitation to anyone on our Instagram, plus the professors had their own students in there, and we didn't want to record without asking everyone's permission, and we didn't have the time to actually go through that. Unfortunately, we weren't able to record it,
Mm-hmm.
which was such a it was a bittersweet thing because obviously we got such an amazing opportunity to like talk with these professors, learn about their ongoing research and everything, but we couldn't really share it beyond that for that reason. At the same time, it was kind of also amazing because like, haha, we got to do it, but other people didn't. But no, no, but it would have been nice. But I think in everything that we got to do with the Hope for PDCD Foundation, it was like huge for us. Like I think we even had I think this is one of their challenges, I think, or one of their initiatives that we helped um promote, like Eat Butter Challenge, or it was
Yeah, 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 yeah. That crossed my mind. Yeah, yeah. There was that
so
challenge.
it's a thing of like that's because of the condition of PDCD, you're limited to a very like specific diet, right?
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
has
I
to
think
be
I think it was connected with the diet. You're right.
yeah, so it's like low carb, high fat diet is what you're going for. So the idea was to spread awareness for PDCD, like to eat butter, obviously because it's high fat, low carb.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I don't remember how that actually went, but I think it was quite fun.
Mm.
Um, and otherwise we had like different doctors and students, or not students, sorry, different doctors from their initiative do calls with us, and I think that was just like insane. Like,
Yeah, no, no. The recognition was like at that point I was like, I know we as a club aren't putting our 100% in connecting with these people. Like, I'll be very honest. Like, it was ups and downs throughout the club, but the fact that still people trusted us and they liked the engagement. Honestly, like a club on rare disease advocacy is not well known, and it doesn't. A lot of students don't like look at this aspect of advocacy. That's why they are marginalized, and they're sort of overshadowed in all their efforts. So just trusting us was the biggest thing to this day that I have immense respect and gratitude for. And yeah, it was really cool. Hope for PDCD will always be remembered. And then afterwards, I think the next few initiatives was us really um, using our Instagram to the best of our ability. At that
yeah,
point,
like
our following was built up and everything.
yeah. I think the thing was, Hope for PDCD, we finished it, and it was like April or March, and most times our like initiatives, our um sort of work, we
Mm.
planned it around the school semesters, or like so we'd go September to April basically for university students. So people had summers to kind of you know travel with their families or do things like that, because we didn't want to make it all year round for anyone who maybe was busy in the summer. People were also studying. We ourselves were studying for the MCAT, which was
Yes, yes.
a whole different issue. Let's not go into.
About to
But,
make this a therapy session.
that was like a deep breath I had to take for myself.
Yeah, I saw you
That
take
was
that deep
pain.
breath, and I was like, oh no,
That
no,
was,
no.
that was pain. That was a different level of like pain and suffering.
Yeah, and also another two things we forgot to mention before we go to our final reflections was that one, we actually had a website that we were building
Oh, true.
across the years. Yeah, the website was interesting because I used Wix for courses and stuff, but not to the extent where like I actually ended up buying a domain and started doing all those things. So the website is right now possibly, I think, under construction because we are going to update a bunch of initiatives that are not there yet. But you can see some of the first early initiatives of Ash on there. We might do a whole like makeover of the website and just kind of make it look different this time. And also another thing was that because in the beginning we didn't have a very large marketing team and we were kind of as co-founders doing everything ourselves, our graphics and stuff like on the Instagram were, let's just say, they weren't that great. So now they got really really good, and I think like just I'm looking at the Instagram right now, and just the way the graphics has changed so much, and they're more like eye-catching, entertaining. So yeah, the like you can literally scroll through our Instagram and see where we started from all the way. Like we didn't archive any post, so you can see our whole progress, see all the things we've done on there. I think there will be links to the podcasts and the interviews and so on and so forth, and you can just see like where this has gone. So it's just really bittersweet to see it come all the way here.
Yeah, honestly, that please don't judge us too much if you go back and view the old graphics. Like, I will take the blame for a lot of those. Like, it was me doing some of the very first ones, and
I did some too. I'm gonna be honest.
we didn't have the best idea of what we were doing, or we didn't. Also, the thing was, we didn't have the best idea of what we wanted our aesthetic to be.
Yeah,
that's a good disclaimer to give. Like, me and Omar have our own hobbies when it comes to like graphic design or photography and stuff, but it's very different than what you're doing for Ash or for something like a club where you're trying to make things eye-catching. So we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. So the first like couple posts were definitely not the best, but I think in the past couple of initiatives have gotten a lot better, and I do hope that soon, if not just through this podcast series, we do get more like interviews with survivors and stuff like that. Because I think since Hope for PDCD, we haven't had as many, I think, interviews. But we've done quite a few initiatives.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just gonna quickly list off the ones we've done. Like after Hope for PDCD, we got connected with someone. I swear, this is someone asked us to do Leah syndrome. That I don't remember. Was it with the it was the Cure Mito Foundation. They asked us to make infographics or some type of graphic for Leah syndrome because they saw our work with Hope for PDCD, I think on Facebook, which again huge, because that was I think in April and we were not expecting anything more, so that was just a quick thing we did because that's all they also asked. Then we did I think DMD, which is what is it? Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Yes.
Right? After that, we had was that sickle cell? After that, no, cystic fibrosis, and then
cystic fibrosis. Yep.
Then sickle cell anemia, right?
Yeah, that's
been everything so far.
Yeah.
You've actually done a lot in the past couple of years.
I know. Yeah. Now that I'm looking properly at it, like. The progression's been great, and just I love how it went from us reaching out to places to now them actually seeing our work. Like that just shows that we were doing something right amongst all the mistakes we were making. So yeah, that was great. I think we're close to wrapping up, so I think we can end off with just maybe both of us can give a little bit of a reflection of how we feel, where the club's at, and maybe what we've taken from the rare disease community and stuff. Ali, I'll let you have this one first.
Thanks.
I need some time to think, man. So...
Alright, great. So throw me under the bus so you can think. A reflection of what everything's been. Okay, firstly, I don't think I expected Ash to get as big as it did. In saying that, I wanted to get bigger. Like, yes, we reached a point that there was clubs reaching out to us to do interviews or market the disease that they focus on, or the disease that they help. At the same time, that doesn't mean we should stop. So I think we definitely need to be reaching out to more people. So that's one thing I'd say. In general, what I've learned from like people with rare diseases, a lot of it is just the fact that like, dude, whatever happens in your life, you can bring yourself back. Like people have gone through insane levels of setbacks in their life and found a way to come back, and not necessarily in the way they expected. Like I don't remember. I think one of our interviews, I think for cystinosis or something,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't really know what they were doing, or they were initially uh, working in something to do with communications and assisting in a magazine. But there was a person who, because they love reading books and all, they continued that path, but also then was advocating for mental health and rare disease awareness, which is a very important thing. So a lot of people then use the conditions that they face to, make something new of themselves. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
the interviewee that you mentioned, Omar, who was going around the world and trying to spread awareness for GBS. Like, he was usually biking places. Obviously, he would travel,
Mm-hmm.
but I think biking was something he loved doing, and he would do it on his.
Yeah.
So again, all of these old interviews are either on our Instagram through a Q&A because they preferred that method, or if we had a meeting recorded, you should be able to find them either on our Spotify or YouTube, or I think even Apple Podcasts. Just search Adversai Health. I don't know if there's a link on it on our Instagram link tree, but if not, we can add it back in. I remember we used to have it.
Yeah, but it's still there. Yeah.
I'm curious to see where this goes. Like, I'm hoping we can get more people, get more type of conversation, not just about rare diseases. I want to build a conversation on maybe more well-known diseases, current research that's happening, current events, like just in around the world, not just focusing on rare diseases. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned from people was just like, no matter what happens in your life, get back up and figure stuff out, because you can keep going.
Yeah, no, I think you took most of the reflections.
Well, then you should have gone first, bro. What do you want? Like,
Yeah, no, that's true.
you
That's true.
threw me under the bus. I just started talking, and now
Man did the 5-minute TED talk right there. There we go.
I
Yeah,
deal
no,
with it.
I agree. I agree with everything you said. To be honest, I think at the end of the day, Ash was kind of like a dream that four of us started, and we're like, we don't really know if we could take it on, if it would be sustainable, if people
I
would
thought it was
trust
gonna
us.
die in a year. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
cut you off. I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was
Like
dying in a year.
straight up, like we'll be honest with you guys listening. Like we had hopes for maybe if we made it to like the 12-month mark, the 1 year mark, we would be so grateful. So the fact that it's still standing and it's still like moving forward is just amazing. And honestly, like for me, the biggest takeaway is like you said, people who can get back up and just show that resilience is huge, but also just a form of gratitude for yourself too, because we take health for granted so much. And I think aside from the clubs as well, and you, the listeners and viewers who are like listening and watching, I'm sure that in your life you've gone through many challenging moments, not just for yourself but for your family, loved ones. COVID-19, the pandemic, was a huge hit for everybody, and there were a lot of moments where we doubted if we could actually recover and get back up. But I think the beauty of Ash was that it went through the pandemic and it actually gave you a viewpoint of people who not only were affected by the pandemic but also were living with the rare diseases day to day. So if anything, you look back at those stories, those experiences, you'll know that there's a lot of hope for people. And if they can do it, then we can absolutely get back on our own 2 feet and really find a way to recover and live happy, joyful lives. So that was amazing. And one final thing I'd like to say for anyone who's wanting to start a club or an initiative, things can look scary in the beginning, but take us as an example that if you really want to take something far and kind of explore the community with like all your heart and interest, then things open for you, doors open for you. It's not just us co-founders working together, but it was a team that we've had through the years. Even though we've had people come in and out, there was still a team standing, and we had communities that trusted us and opened those doors for us. So really just show that compassion and put in as much effort as you can, whatever is manageable, and you'll see something come out of it. Doesn't have to be for a club, but could be for anything in life. And I think that's what Ash really is to me at the end of the day. It's hope for anyone who has a dream or a vision and wants to make it come true. So that's really where we took it from. I think we kind of talked everything about Ash in the get-go. So Ali, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I can't think of anything. I feel like we've said a lot.
Yeah.
And anything more will just be like repeating stuff that we've already said.
I agree. I agree. Okay, so then, well, that wraps up our first official episode of the Advocate Health podcast, guys. We hope today gave you a little more insight into who we are, why ASH exists, and why rare disease advocacy isn't just a niche issue, but it's also a human one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these weren't just medical terms or case studies. These were a lot of people, their families. We had parents, we had siblings even that were talking about their respective others and their futures. And with hopefully with this podcast, we're just getting started. Whether you are a survivor, student, someone who's just coming into this advocacy space for the first time, this is a conversation that hopefully you would want to be a part of and you would like to listen to.
100%. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on our social media. I know this is a bit of a plug, but follow us on our social media for progress. And if you've got a story, insight, or even just a question, honestly, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We, at the end of the day, we were, and we still are students, so we understand where everyone's coming from. And for our next episode, we're hoping to get a special guest on board. That is still in the works, so I can't say anything for sure. But just to look for updates, just keep checking our Instagram at Advocate Health.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. And I know this is going to sound cheesy, but until next time, keep advocating, keep learning, and be the voice you want to hear from others for you. Thank you guys.